for starters. Appreciate your patience. This was originally scheduled for 6 o'clock. It is now 6:32. So thank you. I pivoted. I'll get to both topics, but I didn't, and I wasn't aware about 20 minutes ago that the Ravens today, according to Adam Schefter, had David Njoku in for a visit, 2-1 winning drive in Owings Mills. He is the longtime Cleveland Browns tight end, and that is where we begin today. Max Crosby's tell-all and breaking his silence on his podcast for the first time since last week's debacle will follow. Thanks for being with me tonight. The episode itself is brought to you by my friends at Preston Automotive Group and FanDuel. If you could on the way in, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, consider becoming a channel member or a gift-giving membership this offseason. I'll get to as many super chats as I can as they come in. But we do have breaking news, and certainly news worth pivoting. That's how it goes this time of year when we are in week 2 of free agency, and the longtime Cleveland Brown, a former first-round pick out of Miami, Florida in 2017, David Njoku, was had in today by the Ravens organization for a visit. He is a free agent. He is 29. He'll turn 30 in July. He's a 2023 Pro Bowler. And let's be honest, when healthy, he has given the Ravens fits over the years. He is an athletic freak. He is a willing blocker. He is someone that, man, you talk about his toughness and resilience. I remember when he played 48 hours after suffering third-degree burns. I remember that. We'll revisit that. And I think it was actually second-degree burns just a couple of years ago. So his toughness is second to none. And yes, while he is on the elder side of the position when it comes to modern-day NFL, with his 30th birthday coming up this summer, knowing that Mark Andrews is under contract and at a similar age and phase of his career, I get it. Some of you will want to go younger, and they still can. They can through the draft. And they're banking on, given the extension that they agreed to with Mark in season, they're banking on him having more left in the tank. Charlie Kohler had a chance to catch up with us, or I should really say it the other way around. We had a chance, Sarah and I did on the vault earlier this afternoon, to catch up with him for the first time since he became a Charger in free agency. And he closed out with a pretty good answer. I thought a compelling answer in terms of what makes Mark Andrews special and why he feels like, objectively, to use his words, he still has a lot left in the tank. I'd encourage you to go check that out the first 30 minutes of this afternoon's Vault live stream. But as for David Njoku, look, this would be a wide receiver room of dynamic playmakers that Njoku can be and Mark Andrews can be. And when you add in the idea that Durham Smythe is essentially the Kohler replacement, who spent last season as a blocking tight end in Chicago with Declan Doyle and Ben Johnson, and prior to that had been with the Miami Dolphins his entire career. It's a room that may not be as talented with as much depth as it has been in recent years with Mark, Isaiah, and Charlie. But perhaps if they find a young, dynamic tight end, perhaps that could be day 3, just as they did in 22 when they selected Likely and Kohler in the 4th round. Or maybe, just maybe, they go outside the box and go after one of the talented players in the 1st round. We've seen that before. You got to go back to 2018, of course, with Hayden Hurst when Ozzie Newsome was the GM. But I wouldn't put it past him to make somewhat of a surprising, unconventional decision like that, should that player fit the best player available philosophy that they tend to draft with over the years in Baltimore. So, look, the contract, as always, the money's going to have to be right here. But this is a player that, on paper, excites you. He has been banged up in recent seasons. Last year, played in just 12 games. 12 games, David Njoku for Cleveland last year. He caught 33 passes for 293 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns. Now, what also should be taken into consideration is the inconsistency that he's had to deal with at quarterback. A bunch of different quarterbacks over his years. I don't even want to know the number, but it's got to be damn near close to double digits, is who has thrown him the ball. It's hard to find chemistry, rapport, cadence, timing, rhythm when you're having that level of a revolving door at the most important position individually in all of sport. He's missed 11 games total in the past 2 seasons because of injuries, and I have those specific injuries detailed here. In December of 2025, he suffered a knee injury in the second quarter of a Week 14 game against Tennessee. In October of 2025, he hyperextended his left knee. That was in Week 6 against Pittsburgh. If you go back to December of 2024, also another knee injury. That was against Cincinnati and caused him to miss weeks 17 and 18. Earlier that month, again, back in December of 2024, it was a thigh hamstring sprain / pull, unspecified grade 1. You can go back to October of 2024, where he also had an unspecified knee strain. So he's had his fair share of injuries, as anyone pretty much has at his position, at his age, with the amount of miles on his NFL tires. But he's someone that I'm sure would be a comfort for Declan Doyle, knowing his desire and 12 personnel usage that you would figure is coming to Baltimore, schematically speaking, knowing what they did last year in that Ben Johnson offense for the Chicago Bears. And he's someone that is unquestionably a character match for the Ravens organization. I asked you guys tonight in terms of your overall thoughts, and early on in the poll, as we approach 200 votes, I'd love for you to participate, make your voice heard. Would you welcome a David Njoku signing in Baltimore? And of course, the numbers would have to be right for it. But 90% of you, overwhelming majority of you, say yes. 10% of you say no. More on Njoku. He wrote an Instagram post earlier this offseason and thanked Cleveland. First off, I love you. These 9 years have been a beautiful journey. I am so grateful for all the memories we shared together. Thank you to the Haslams, Andrew Berry, and the whole Browns organization for everything. All my teammates I shared the battle with, I'm so grateful for you guys. The time for me to find a new home has come, and all I can think of is just the gratefulness in my heart. The city of Cleveland will forever be home. Hashtag Chief out. So he wants out. Todd Monken and his new era of Browns football is in, but David has done his time. 9 years to be exact. And again, left it all out on the field. A first-round pick back in 2017, 29th overall of the Cleveland Browns, where he's spent his entire professional career to date. In terms of the numbers, he's played in 118 games over those 9 years. He's started 88 of those. He's been targeted 588 times by a slew of different Browns quarterbacks. 384 of those were caught for receptions with over 4,000 yards, 10.6 yards per reception, 34 touchdowns, and again, a whole lot of yak ability, a whole lot of athleticism, toughness, and you name it. Speaking of toughness, I'll talk a little bit more about this whole second-degree burn incident. It happened in September of 2023 due to a fire pit accident. It involved spray-on lighter fluid and left second-degree burns on his face and hands. Okay? He played 48 hours later, did David Njoku. And maybe you remember how he showed up to the stadium 48 hours after. Not only did he play, but he turned a very frightening accident into positive advocacy. And he helped out burn survivors and partnered with the American Burn Association. And for that, I think, I'm not sure what is a greater exhibit A, an indication of the high character guy that he truly is. Again, second degree burns, and you go and suit up for a football game at the NFL level 48 hours later. So doctors describe the injuries as 17 to 18% of the total body surface area. And again, second degree burns, no joke. He wore a mask. Oof. I'm just looking through some notes back a couple years ago. This is kind of nasty. He noted that skin would peel off when taking off the mask. He wore it to cover his injuries in the immediate aftermath, and again, has since used it as a way of advocacy. So, yeah, that is David Njoku. in a nutshell, who now has made a visit to the Ravens. We'll see how that visit fares. We'll see how the two potentially find some synergy here. And could you be looking at this type of tight end room should the Ravens have an interest in signing him and that interest be mutual? You know that Durham Smythe and Mark Andrews are under contract. We now know of this visit with Njoku. And perhaps could that purple question mark be a rookie that could be added into the equation here from a 2026 tight end perspective? Dre Dog is here with the first super chat of the evening. And he writes, imagine in Doyle's offense, he puts David in front of Derek as his fullback. The amount of options, given the litany of talent and personnel that Declan Doyle will have at his disposal on the offensive side of the ball, should make the creative juices flowing early and often. Appreciate you for being with me tonight, Dre Dog. And appreciate all of you guys for being here as well as we approach that 700 concurrent viewership number. If you could like the video on your way in, subscribe if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell. Consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership this offseason. David has never reached the 1,000 yards receiving mark, but he has been close. In 2023, for Cleveland, again, where he spent his entire career to date, he played in all 16 games that the Browns had him available for. He was targeted 123 times. 81 of those were caught for 882 receiving yards, 10.9 yards per reception, and 6 touchdowns. Again, last year was marred with injuries, sidelining him for a handful of games. He played in 12. He was targeted 48 times. He had 33 receptions for 293 yards and 4 touchdowns. I don't know what the numbers would be, but I know they could use David Njoku in Baltimore. And they would use him effectively. You know you're losing a tight end that plays the game like a wide receiver in Isaiah Likely. You know you're losing the now highest paid blocking tight end in Charlie Colher, who also had some solid catchability that he put on film throughout his 4 years in Baltimore. And you bring in Durham Smythe, who that is not his calling card. It's not. He's going to be asked to do the dirty work. And here and there, when things break down, check downs, freak type plays when Lamar needs a safety valve, he'll be there, just like any other tight end would be, regardless of role. And he'll catch the ball. But he's not been a high volume guy. That's not been something he's been known for throughout his time in the league. And Durham is actually a 2018 draft classmate of Lamar's. He's been around for a while, spent the majority of his career in Miami before last year going to Chicago, which there's familiarity there between Declan and Durham because of the year they spent as a member of the Bears. So, look, I, for one, will be very, very curious. One, how this visit goes. And two, what the numbers might suggest. Where is David at this point in his career? Well, one thing we know is that he is an unrestricted free agent. He signed a 4-year, $54 million contract with the Cleveland Browns. That included over $11 million in a signing bonus, 28 of which was guaranteed, and an average annual salary of just north of 13. That was in 2022. David is now on the doorstep of 30. And would the number ranging around 2 at 10 annually be something that the Ravens would be willing to allocate and see value in? That remains to be seen. But what we now know, as of within the hour, is that David Njoku has visited the Ravens on an official free agent visit. He will turn 30 in July. He spent his entire career since 2017 in the AFC North. He's been a tough cover for the Ravens over his time. And perhaps Baltimore's front office feels like they see something more in him, and he sees more in himself left in the tank that would allow them to go take a swing in the draft. Appreciate you guys for being with me. Guest lines are open. If you'd like to share a thought with this Njoku visit, I have that comment pinned in my live chat. And as we approach 300 votes in today's poll, still seeing a lot of overwhelming yeses pour in on your interest in a David Njoku signing. I want to say thanks to FanDuel for the continued support of the program. They've been with me all 2026 thus far, and that'll continue to be the case. And hey, right now, first four action is in. March Madness is on, and UMBC in the Midwest region as a 16 seed is taking on Howard. So it's sort of a Maryland, DC tie-in matchup there with a chance to go play a 1 seed. As for the 4-leg parlay that you're seeing on the screen, which is FanDuel's featured popular parlay and same-game parlay that they have to talk about tonight, you can take a look at Duke and Michigan State potentially moving on, while a pair of 12 and 5 upsets bust brackets. The High Point money line at Wisconsin plus 400. Tip-off is Thursday at 150. The Duke money line, my hometown Siena Saints, for those of you who are familiar with the with the Albany region, maybe you know MAC basketball and the Siena Saints, they will take on as a 16 seed the Duke Blue Devils. McNeese, we all remember McNeese. They're back in the tournament at Vanderbilt. Money line plus 530. That's a 315 tip on Thursday. And Michigan State will face off against North Dakota State. Spartans minus 2,500. That's one of the many featured popular parlay and same game parlays that they have available for you to consider on a 4-leg. And a bunch of NBA games in action tonight. Enjoy March Madness. And please bet responsibly if you do pop on to FanDuel. If you're having any issues or you know someone that's having issues, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. That is 1-800-GAMBLER. If you're just tuning in, David Njoku has visited with the Ravens, and that is tonight's breaking news. In an hour and 10 minutes, we'll pop back onto the collective, Cole Jackson, Jeff, and myself. We'll be back with you for a Tuesday Ravens collective episode. Your thoughts on what's going on tonight as it relates to Njoku, an NFL veteran who's been in the league now for 9 years. He will hit that 30 milestone this summer, and we'll get ready to play for a 10th NFL season. In the meantime, Max Crosby's tell-all has dropped. Max, of course, we all remember what happened last week, the debacle in Baltimore that had the Ravens backing out of their initial verbal agreement to send the Vegas Raiders 2 future first-round picks, including the 14th overall selection in April's draft, until they saw the physical, until they saw the MRI, until they saw the knee, and decided they would back out. I've got clips and a number of other things to react to after Max Crosby dropped his latest episode of The Rush on his YouTube channel and across platforms. We'll get to that in just a bit. But first, let's open up the guest lines and get your thoughts on David Njoku's potential fit in Baltimore. Adam Schefter noted less than an hour ago at this point that he visited today in Baltimore with the Ravens. He said goodbye to Cleveland earlier this offseason. And after 9 years, he is on his way out of the Browns. But could he stay in the AFC North? Trey, you ready to roll? 90 seconds on the clock. Getting your instant reaction on David Njoku being a potential target for Eric DeCosta's 2026 Ravens. Floor is yours, brother. What's going on, Trey?
Hey, how's it going, Bobby?
Good, man.
Pretty good. Good. Man, I saw the news about David Njoku. It kind of opens it up as if we do bring in Njoku, that would have us slow down on the talks for Kenyon Sadiq. Obviously, that would slow down a lot of that talk. But
Not in here. Not in here.
not in here. But I think it will slow it down if we bring him on. Um, I do think that would be a big pickup. Because at the same time, I know we would still draft one a tight end probably in the middle rounds, even though it's a deep class. But probably bring him in, see what we could get out of a workout, and see what numbers he's looking at. Obviously, they already know. Probably just seeing the product. But I was really kind of getting in here to chime in about the Max Crosby situation. Did you take that as a slight? Because I think he was really. It didn't sound like he said anything wrong in that. I watched the whole thing. I watched the whole video, his whole podcast. He actually took it as just like, man, I just didn't talk to nobody, but I would like to. Pretty much, he's locked in. He's a locked in type of player. He would have been a Raven, and he would have been fine with it if it went through. But I didn't take it as a slight to me, or as a fan that he was dogging out the Ravens organization. I don't think he was at all. He just thought certain things were kind of funny.
It's a perfect segue because I'm going to try to answer
Yeah.
that coming up over the second half of the program. So I'm going to do that right
Okay.
now, brother. Appreciate you.
No problem.
Thanks, Trey. Yeah, look, Max Crosby, as Trey alluded to, and as I just teased a minute ago, um, for the first time addressed publicly on his podcast everything that shook out with the debacle last week in Baltimore. Being flown to the Ravens organization and their facility to complete a physical, to not seeing DaCosta or Minter for 5 hours as all of his scans and paperwork and testing and measurements and all of that was going on, to then learning from Eric himself, but starting to hear like little rumbles from his representation that it might not go through. Like he just got into all of it. He said he was effing livid and confused. And to answer Trey's question, look, I don't think clearly he feels slighted by this, but at the same time, he said things like, "Hey, I am where I'm supposed to be, and everything happens for a reason," and so on and so forth. But it was clear to me, and I got the clips that we're about to cut to right now. Pretty clear to me that given the way that Max always is looking for motivation, I'd have to think the next time that the Ravens and Raiders, assuming that Max will be a Raider at the time of this matchup, these two duel it out on a football field, he'll have a little extra edge to him. Do I think any of it got overly personal or ugly in this YouTube video? No, I wouldn't say that. But it certainly doesn't paint the Ravens in a great light. I think the way that he's sharing his perspective, his side of the story. And look, you didn't expect it to be pretty anyway. He flew out and he went through a complete emotional roller coaster. So some of this is to be expected. I'll let you guys commentate on it in the live chat as you listen to it. This is a 6 or 7 minute extended clip. I did my best to condense it down as much as I possibly can. And these were some of Max's takeaways and his overall experience and what ultimately led to the Ravens backing out from a previously verbally agreed to trade that would have sent 2 first-rounders, including this year's 14th overall selection, to Vegas in exchange for a future Hall of Famer, still a premier pass rusher at this point in his process, just 9 weeks removed from that meniscus repair. Here's Max, courtesy of his podcast, The Rush.
This is the thing, bro. Like, everyone's got their own theory, conspiracy theory. No one really will ever admit at either side what the real truth is or whatever. And ultimately, it doesn't even matter. I am where I'm supposed to be. I know that. I'll just say that. And this is the only thing. Like, I went there, did my thing, had my MRIs. Like, I was asking Joe, like, yo, like, like, before I left, I wanted to see the head coach, just chop it up, talk football, talk ball. Like, he's a defensive guy. never met him before like that, so I wanted to chop it up. So I didn't get to meet with him till the end of the day. I didn't get to see the GM at all. I thought I was going to see him when I first got there. I didn't see him for 5 hours.
So he didn't come out the whole time you're testing or doing your physical. Everyone's talking about
Never.
the GM. Never came once out to see you.
And I don't know why. I'm not going to speculate. I didn't see him one time. I even asked the girl. I was like, "Where's Eric at?" Like, I want to say, like, you know what I mean? Like, he just made the trade. Like, I didn't see him for 5 hours. So I go and do my thing. At the end, they're like, "Yeah, I'll take you up." Joe was like, "I'll take you up and you go see the head coach, whatever, just before you leave." I was like, "Hell yeah!" I was like, "That's what I want to say what's up to him." So I went back up, and I dap him up, and I could just tell like the energy was a little bit off. And the GM was standing in like the hall, like in the room next to me to the right, and that was the first time I seen him. And I'm just in my head, like this is a whirlwind, like I'm so excited, like fired up. You know what I mean? Like this is a new opportunity, whatever. And you could just tell the energy was off. Like I dapped him up. He had like a blank face. And I'm like, okay. I'm not thinking anything of it. Maybe he's just different. I don't know. I don't know him, whatever. Yeah. I go into the room. They sit me down on the couch. And he's like, "Man, I don't know how to say this, but, one of our doctors has concerns with the results and whatever. And like with your knee, like some of them have, are concerned about the future and da-da-da-da-da. And, we really want you. And this is what it is. But, we're just going to have to get more and more opinions." And I was like, the first thought in my head, like, I was terrified because I'm thinking in my head, like, what the fuck? Like, I just had, like, Neil Elitrosh, best fucking surgeon in the country, like, the best of the best. He's done all my surgeries for the most part. Like, that's my guy. Like, I go to his house. Like, that's my dude. Like, he's the best. So I haven't even got to talk to him, or I hadn't got to talk to CJ at that point. So it just kind of hit me. I'm like, what the fuck? Is there something wrong? Like, I'm freaking out, like low key, deep down. I'm like, I can't get another surgery. I can't, like, my time. I'm like, this is fucked up. So I'm fucking like, what is going on, bro? And CJ had been calling me right before I went up. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, CJ, let me hit you when I get out of here. And I was looking for Rachel. I don't know where Rachel's at. She was upstairs with the girls and stuff, like doing her own thing.
He has no clue at this moment, like what's going on.
Yeah, Rachel didn't know, but CJ like sent a text in the group chat, and I'm like, damn. So anyway, fast forward, I want to take all day, but they tell me like, yeah, we're gonna get back to you, like we're gonna get some more opinions and things. Like, we obviously want you, this and that. And I'm like, all right, like, okay, so we'll see. So I don't know. So then I leave. I'm like, this is what the fuck. Yeah. I get back to the hotel, bro. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what does this mean? Like, I'm calling whatever. Then I talk to Neil. Neil calls me, and he called me way down. He's like, Max, don't listen to any of that shit. He's like, your knee is great. You're exactly where you're supposed to be, or even ahead of schedule. He's like, you're doing everything right. He's like, they know you had your surgery 9 weeks ago. It's obviously, if you get an MRI, like, he's like showing me literally like the actual literature of like, this is where it needs supposed to be at from a meniscus repair. Like, there can be MRIs that could be misleading because it's still fresh in surgery and this and this and that. He's like, listen, you're doing everything right. Everything's going well. We're going to keep sticking to the plan. He's like, you will be back by training camp. That has been the damn timeline since the beginning. That hasn't changed. Your stuff, obviously everyone's mentioned a bunch of different things. All these doctors are mentioning different.
And that's what was communicated out of your camp too, correctly? Like during this 100%. Whole time.
100%. So that's the thing. I'm like, okay. So now I'm like kind of calmed down, but at the same time, I'm like, well, what the fuck? Now, like,
you don't have the whole picture yet.
Yeah. Like, so I'm like, all right, I'm calmed down in that way. That was my number one concern. I'm like, shit, I need to make sure I'm good. Like, what the fuck? I've been doing everything, bro. I've been on crutches for 2 months. Like, you don't understand that part of it. Like, that shit's a lot on your fucking mental and everything. And I've been through a lot of surgeries, like being on crutches. Y'all know me, bro. I can't sit still. I can't walk. Like, I went through, bro. I was diligent.
Even to be fair, like when you were like 2-3 days out, and I was like, bro, could you like low key like put a little pressure on if you wanted to, because you want to do shit, right? And then and you're like, I don't know, and I don't really care. I'm not waiting. Like, I'm gonna wait until I'm done. To your point, to what you're saying, like you did everything to a T.
Everything, and to this exact day, to this morning, it doesn't change. So that at that moment I was scared. So I'm sitting and go back to the hotel. I'm with Rach. I'm like, okay, let's get some food, do our thing. We ate lunch. We chilled for a little bit. I'm chilling on my phone. I'm like, what the fuck is going on, bro? Like, I'm talking back and forth with CJ. He's like, we're going back and forth, talking to the doctor, da. He's like, then the final call, like after probably like 2 hours later, he's like, yo, like, I'm gonna just be 100% real with you. Doug and CJ, he's like, I don't think this is gonna go the way we expected it to. Like, I'm like, what? Like, I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, they're probably gonna back out of this. I'm like, all right. So I'm sitting there waiting for a call. I can't even sit still, bro. I'm like, what the fuck? So I took a nap, like 20-minute nap.
That's impressive.
I called CJ back. I always find a way to get a nap.
Yeah.
Call CJ back. He hits me. He's like, yo, they're backing out. And it's crazy because their guy like called me. One of the Ravens guys called me and was like, yo, we're trying to figure this out. You know, we're gonna get this done. Don't worry. Like 5 minutes later, CJ calls me. It's like, they're backing out. I'm like, holy shit. So I'm like frozen. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm fucking livid, confused, the whole nine all in one. And so I told him, I'm like, I'm trying to get out of here, bro. Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm supposed to have dinner at 6:30. I had to wait till like 6 o'clock to figure out what the hell I was going to do. So me and Rachel, we got our dinner. We ordered in our food. We had like meal prep from the day before. We're like, fuck it, let's eat that. And CJ called and the Ravens. They're like, no, they'll send a jet. Like, they got a bigger one tonight. They'll send you back tonight in like an hour and a half if you guys can get ready. I'm like, start packing that shit. Let's go.
Yeah.
So we packed all our shit. And literally it's the same thing as when I got the trade call. I got a call. I literally, as I was getting off the phone with CJ, ticker. Trade with Max Crosby's off on my phone. My shit starts blowing up. I'm like, here we go.
What did you guys expect? The sunshine and rainbows commentary for him? I mean, that's kind of what I expected, to be honest with you. I see a lot of live chat commentary in response to this being like, oh, this is a terrible look. This is horrific. Oh, this makes Eric look terrible, so on and so forth. What did you expect? This is a very unique situation. And ultimately, is this a good look for the entire Ravens organization? Probably not. Fundamentally, no. Is it illegal? Did they engage in anything illegal? No. There was no illegal behavior. It was very unique, unusual behavior, but this was a pretty unusual circumstance for the organization to be in. And knowing that this was essentially a decision with implications that could very well span over a decade when you think about the way that first-round picks work, you can be within team control with the fifth-year option for 5 years times 2 because of 2 first-round picks. We're talking about a decade here. And so while I don't blame Max for feeling the way that he clearly does, and again, to use his words, he was effing livid and confused and the whole nine. I don't blame him, but I also don't blame the Ravens for having to make a decision that was extremely unique in unique circumstances with their organization in mind, not for next year, not for 2020, 28, but for the next 5+ years, for the next decade. Somebody's got to make that decision. And they felt like they had enough doctors in-house with over 4 or 5 opinions last time I checked, from what I've heard. And they made a decision that was with their best interest in mind. And unfortunately, that caused utter chaos for Max and his experience with his family in Baltimore. You heard him here, his first interaction with Eric. Quote, you could just tell the energy was off, like I dapped him up and he had like a blank face. Said he didn't meet with Minter or DaCosta for 5 hours. Remember, this is Tuesday, I believe. So if this was Tuesday of last week, keep in mind that you're within the first 48 hours of the legal tampering window, aka maybe the busiest day of the year for general managers across the league. So let's just be clear on what Tuesday of last week consisted of for Eric. It's not like he can just, and again, at 5 hours is 5 hours. You'd like to think that if he wanted to, he could have spared 5 minutes. But then again, there was the medical component as well. And Max was going through his protocol, the physical, the testing, the measurables. So I have a hard time like ripping Eric for that. I also have a hard time looking at Max and being like, what the hell is wrong with you? Because I don't blame him for feeling this way. I don't. I'd feel pretty blindsided as well. You could see how emotional of a roller coaster he was on throughout this. And I think you can empathize with him on that. Dr. Neil Ellison, very, very renowned orthopedic surgeon who was the doctor who operated on Max's meniscus. What he told him after the Ravens expressed their concerns was interesting. Max said, quote, he's like, Max, don't listen to any of that shit. Your knee is great. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. You're even ahead of schedule. You're doing everything right. They know you had surgery 9 weeks ago. Well, yeah, of course they do. Everybody had the medical on that. It was more about what's he going to be 6 weeks from now times 20, times 30, times 40, because we're investing in him multiple years, multiple first-round picks. We want to make sure we get this right, and that's ultimately what led to the final decision. Marco Bands 314. What's up, Marco? He says Max has over 6,400 career snaps to Trey's north of 4,500. More tread on the tires with higher production for Trey. I think this was a no-brainer considering the knee. Good stuff there and some context from Marco Bands. Appreciate you, Marco. And one more clip of what was clearly a hassle to Max and his family. Maybe this is just life in the cushy life that is professional athlete, and the lifestyle, the glitz and the glamour that comes with it. But Max talked a little bit about the travel arrangements that were made by the Ravens organization, which he is not a fan of.
I get to the hotel. Well, no, this is the other part. They picked me up. They flew me to D.C. because there wasn't many flights. We flew first class. They flew me to D.C. because I was only straight through. We had to drive 2 hours from D.C. all the way to Baltimore after the 5-hour flight, bro. That shit was fucking weak.
Oh my!
I was sick. I'm like, damn.
Hold up,
you know what I mean? Like, you're sitting on a plane all day. You're like, I just want to go and lay down for a second, catch my thoughts, bro. 2 hours in the car. I'm like, this is crazy. So we drove all the way to Baltimore to like the harbor, and we get there, and it's like maybe 8:30 at this. Maybe I don't even know what time it is. Like 7, something like that. And I'm like, I need to get some work in. Like typical Monday, I'm in the building doing my thing. I'm like, I'm getting some work in regardless. So I went in, got my cardio, did my shit, whatever.
Yep.
And then I got a sweat out. Rach went in there and tried to work with me on frying her ass on the bike. But I do my thing, and then Tuesday I have like a full day. You know what I mean? Like we get up in the morning, do our thing. You know what I mean? And then shit changed.
If that was Dulles, I think we all know that that's easily, depending on the time of day, easily a 2-hour ride. It's one thing if we're talking about Reagan, but Washington Dulles to downtown Baltimore in the Inner Harbor can easily take 2 hours. That's not going to go over well right there. That is a little elitist for my liking. The Ravens wanted to get you over as quickly as possible. They flew you over first class. They wanted to make it direct. They didn't want you to have to lay over. And so, unfortunately, in a mid-sized town like Baltimore, BWI has only so many options. And I guess the Ravens couldn't pull any strings. They did fly him back on a jet. As he said in the first clip, they did fly him back on a jet. But how do you think that's going to play over with a blue-collar town like Baltimore? I'm not sure why you said that. By the way, it's not like he's driving the 2 hours, right? Yes, he had just flown 5 hours. And yes, he and his family need to pack in the car now, but they're being chauffeured. They're being chauffeured from Dulles to downtown Inner Harbor. So that doesn't see, like, this is the type of reaction right here that I figured I was going to get. And I don't blame you for reacting this way, Wes. He says, oh, fuck off. Boo-hoo, having to drive 2 hours from the airport after a free first-class flight, then getting a private jet flight home. Now, did the Ravens feel like they needed to private jet him out of there because of everything that transpired? That's neither here nor there. But, Wes, I would imagine that this is somewhat representative of what many in the live chat tonight are feeling after hearing this from Max Crosby and his tell-all on his recent episode of The Rush. That was the commentary. Curious to hear your guys' thoughts on that now that we've played it for you, and we'll open up the guest lines to do so. Appreciate you, Wes, Marco, and Dre for the super chats tonight. And we've got north of 1,200 concurrents. Appreciate you guys for being here. Like the video if you could on the way in. Subscribe, hit that notification bell. Consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership this offseason. Femi weighing in tonight. Femi says, fair play. Changes nothing. 5 doctors. Okay, so we heard the same. I heard 4, you heard 5. Perfect. 5 doctors all concluded the same. Unfortunately, you can't give $100 million and 2 first rounds, meaning first rounders on a player. The flight thing, or excuse me, on a prayer. And that's a long-term prayer. It's not just a 2026 prayer. It's a prayer that would span multiple years. We all get that. He says the flight thing is weak. Yeah, which is funny, Fem, because Max himself referred to it as a weak play by the Ravens. It's a weak response by him. We all agree. He says, bring on Trey and Njoku. He's angry. I get it. I think there's a lot of rationale reaction right there. That's a rational reaction there from Fem. I'd expect nothing less. And I'm curious to hear what you guys are thinking in the waiting room right now. Let's open it up. Appreciate you guys for being with me. Thanks to Fem for diving in via Super Chat tonight. And with that, we'll go to the guest lines. The link itself to tune in and call in is pinned in my live chat right now if you'd like to share a thought. 90 seconds on the clock. Nick, what's up, brother? Opening day right around the corner. You're looking festive. Happy St. Patty's Day to everybody. We are 47 minutes out from the next episode of The Collective premiering with Cole, Jeff, and myself. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to what Nick has to say. Welcome to the program, brother. The floor is yours.
What's up, Bobby? Listen, Max can sit there and be all, petty and everything, but I feel like a part of him didn't want to leave at all. The man's got a tattoo of the Raiders tattooed on him. He, talked about how he wants to retire a Raider. So, what are you crying about, dude? Get over it.
I'll tell you what, you go listen to that episode in full. You listen to that episode in full. Yeah. I think you're onto something. This is a guy that had to convince himself he was actually on his way out of the place that he started his career in.
Bobby, he sounded like he was like, breaking up with his wife, divorcing his wife, and it's like, oh, we're soulmates, but we'll get back together in 10 years. It's like, what the hell, man? Like, well, hey, what do we chop liver? Like, dude, you go do you and everything like that. Hey, just want to say, David Njoku, let's speak that into existence. Let's make it happen. I'm a big fan of his. I've always been a big fan of his, and I hope we sign him. We need him, and I'm excited to see what we do on draft day because, we can go a bunch of different routes, but I also hope we pull off a trade somehow, some way to get somebody that's an impact player.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate you, brother. Guest lines are open. Waiting room's cooking right now. We're just going to go right to King Judah. 90 seconds on the clock, brother. Good to see you. Your thoughts on whether it's Njoku, Crosby, or both. Floor is yours.
Well, I'm happy about the Njoku signing. After losing Likely, I was kind of bummed.
Njoku visit.
Oh, visit. Oh, well. I'm still hopeful that we actually get him because after losing Likely, man, I'm kind of disappointed with that move, getting rid of Likely. Re-signing Mark Andrews, especially to something, a contract that big. I didn't have a problem with bringing Mark back, but I do think they should have made Mark take a team-friendly deal. I don't see Mark being productive for the next even 3 years, Bobby. I think we're going to watch him regress from now on. I don't think Mark is the same player that we knew, But with that being said, hopefully we get Njoku. I don't like getting rid of Keaton Mitchell. That was one of the most disappointing losses. I mean, I'm not going to get over that. I'm never going to get over losing Keaton Mitchell. I'm never going to get, because the potential I saw in that guy. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of people like Justice Hill, but man, I don't think Justice Hill moves the needle. He's a good piece. He's somebody that can be consistent, but he is not a game changer. He does not possess the strength or the speed to be a game changer. And with that being said, I have about 22 seconds left. I'm going to use that on Rashad Bateman. Listen, Rashad Bateman has to go. I don't understand why we're still beating around the bush with this. I hear people talking about Hopkins or if we're going to get A.J. Brown. I don't care who we get as long as Bateman is going. You can literally bring any receiver here, and I'll be fine with it as long as Bateman is going. We need to make that happen, Bobby. I keep telling you.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you. I got a lot to respond there. Okay, first and foremost, Mark Andrews. He signed a 3-year, $39.3 million extension. That includes $26 million guaranteed. Okay, that puts him in top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He is a top 5 paid tight end, somewhere around that number. Okay, top 10. Same thing with Isaiah Likely. They signed very similar contracts. Mark himself, of course, you got to go back to 2018. He's a part of that draft class. He and Lamar are classmates from that 2018 class, and he was a third rounder then. He's been an all-pro once in 2021, 3-time Pro Bowler, and somebody that's broken a lot of organizational records and will one day, Mark, will one day be in the Ring of Honor. Okay. Isaiah Likely didn't want to be in Baltimore. He declined the offer, the extension that was very similar to what he ended up signing with the Giants last summer. That's his prerogative. He bet on himself, and unfortunately that gamble did not pay off. So to fault the Ravens for that, I think is unwise. I think it's unfair, matter of fact. I think that the Mark Andrews contract extension over the next couple of years, which does not put the team, it is actually team friendly when you look at the structure of it and the specifics of it, and they can get out of it in the next couple of years should they have to or want to. That could age really well if Mark bounces back here. Mark is currently 30. He'll turn 31 in September. Okay. David perhaps would come to Baltimore maybe in that 2 years, 15, 16 million range. I don't know what he's going to get. Somewhere around there. He's been banged up in recent seasons, so you are risking some of his availability issues that he's had in Cleveland in recent seasons. But I don't think that the Mark Andrews contract is a problem for this team. And I don't think it's going to prohibit them at all from going and signing a David Njoku. And then clearly they're going to want to draft a tight end as well. It's just a matter of which day. As for the Bateman piece, I'm somewhat surprised that he hasn't been dealt to this point in the offseason, but I also know that the draft is a sticking point, and there's a lot that can happen over the next 5 or 6 weeks as things stand as the offseason rolls on. What else did he address that I haven't gotten to? Keaton? Look, I get it. Keaton's a fan favorite. He brings a level of explosiveness and misdirection and twitchiness and instincts and the lightning to Derrick Henry's thunder that I'm sure it'll be painful to see him suit up for the Ravens West. But they didn't tender him. He has his issues picking up the blitz. Justice is a more well-rounded player, and Justice may not be the home run hitter that Keaton is, but I think they're going to be okay. Keaton was an undrafted rookie for a reason. All due respect to him. I wish him well. His father, of course, was on Femi's team and that 2000 team and won a Super Bowl in Baltimore. There was a cool family affair. Now he goes to the Chargers, and that is that. Guest lines are open. I think I addressed everything. Judah gave me a lot to address there. I wonder if Olu is going to do the same today. He's in my on-deck circle. We've got over 1,200. I know he's going to come correct, too. He likes a big audience. North of 1,200 concurrently watching tonight. Guys, if you could like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Consider becoming a channel member or a gift-giving membership this offseason. Olu, what say you about all these activities? Floor is yours, brother.
Man, I'll say this, that Max Crosby deal. First of all, I'm sitting at the fire station here with my co-workers. We're just having a meal.
What's going on, fellas?
Yeah, we're having a little meal. That Max Crosby deal, man. I think I've heard enough from it as far as like from what the doctor said. I'm okay with it. You know what I'm saying? I get he's upset and a little frustrated, and he'll probably use that for fuel for the rest of his whenever he sees us. But man, 2 first-round picks was. I think if we were being honest with ourselves, all of us were nervous. When we heard that come across the ticker, all of us were nervous. I mean, in every play he plays, if he gets hurt, if he twists his ankle, Eric DeCosta's on the hot seat. You know, for 10 years of 2 players that's worth 10 years of value, he isn't worth that. Keaton
Somebody
Mitchell
had to be the fall guy,
and he's it, and that's why he gets paid the big bucks. So he can't run from that. I give him credit. He didn't run from it. He didn't come out as soon as he could have. And for all we know, it could have been Steve Bisciotti who said, man, we ain't doing that. So he has to take it. So it is what it is. But Keaton Mitchell, anybody on our team can be replaced except for maybe 3 or 4 guys. Lamar, Kyle, Derek, and a couple other guys. I don't put any other names out there, but everybody else can be. We'll draft away. But man, I appreciate you guys. Y'all be safe out there.
Lamar is the definition of irreplaceable, at least
That's
for the
way
they're currently constructed.
That's a fact.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate
All
you.
right, man, be careful.
And he's right? Eric did address it last week. He did look the cameras in the eye and the media in the eye last week and held a press conference to explain the Ravens side. And he was remorseful. And he did use the word regret. He was gutted. Remember?
I think I'm hard on myself, and you think you question everything you do. In this business, you're never perfect, right, with the draft and with free agency. I think in this particular instance, I'm really proud of the team and the doctors and, the guys that work with me. And this is a tough thing that we have to deal with in this business. I don't really know what we could do differently than what we did. So, again, it's a really, really, really tough call. There were moments yesterday when, honestly, I was probably speechless. Just sitting in my chair in my office and just thinking about what the next step would be and trying to get as much information as possible. And it wasn't, I should say, it wasn't just, in a situation like this, you try to get as much information as you can from as many different sources as you can. And it just didn't work out. So, tough, very, very challenging. We've dealt with these kinds of things in the past, but probably never at such a large figure. So, challenging.
Did you try to renegotiate at all the terms of it?
I think at some point you get to the point where, when you look at the situation, you have to make the right decision. It's not always about, the value. It's just what is the right decision for the club at the time. And that's a hard thing to do. But as I said, when you're a steward of the organization and you're put in that position, you've got to make the tough call.
EB, come on in here and react to everything that's taken place, whether it's Max Crosby breaking his silence on his podcast, as we've discussed over the last hour, or maybe more interestingly, the David Njoku visit reported by Adam Schefter in Baltimore. Could they be closing in on a potential signing of the longtime Cleveland Browns tight end? 90 seconds on the clock. Mr. EB Excellence himself joins us. The floor is yours, brother.
What's happening, Bobby? Can you hear me clearly?
Good to see you, man. Yes, you can. Yes, I can.
All right. I don't have a problem with the Njoku visit. Just keep that nice and short and sweet. I have no problem with that. As far as this Max Crosby and trade that didn't go through, I have a hot take. Many people may not like it. You may not like it. I mean, hey, this is just my opinion. I feel like both Eric and Max got fucked out of this trade. And the reason I say that is because there was talks about bringing both Max and Trey. Do you know how nasty and a problem it would have been if we had both Max and Trey, Bobby? And not only that, I get it. It's a doctor that worked on the current best quarterback in the league, and Patrick Mahomes. But I wouldn't trust shit that come out of Dallas. Point blank, period. I just wouldn't. Considering that Jerry is running the show, I just wouldn't trust it at all. I also want to speak on the Keaton Mitchell thing. I agree with Judah, and I ain't letting that shit go either. We shouldn't have let him walk out the door. He's better than Justice, and I've been saying this for the longest. But I mean, it is what it is. And as far as with the receiver, we should bring back D-Hop. We have our 2 and our 3. If we're not going to have Bateman, then move on from him. But I need people to put some respect on Terrence Walker's name. Point blank, period. I'm standing on that, and I'm not letting that shit go either. He is our number 2. He is our number 3. It's not an indictment on him. It's an indictment on the last coaching regime.
Later, EB. Thanks for your piece, my brother. And I'm going to stand on business with Tez too. I got a lot of respect for him. I'm looking forward to his career continuing to develop. And I don't want to put words in EB's mouth, but it sure seems to me like he's ready to run Devontae out there as the bona fide number 2. And I haven't seen enough. I have not seen enough to confidently say that. He's a former 4th-round pick out of North Carolina. He's scored a handful of touchdowns among a handful of catches in what's been a very low-volume, inexperienced 2-year career in the National Football League. He's a speedster. He's a big play threat. And he's someone that can absolutely develop. But he shouldn't be someone that you're banking on. Not yet. He hasn't earned that. He also hasn't gotten the opportunity to earn that yet. Right now, I think it would behoove them to continue going with Zay Flowers as their number 1. If they don't find a willing trade partner and the compensation is worth it, then you bring Rashad Bateman back on what continues to be a team-friendly, when you look at the wide receiver market as a whole, you bring him back on that deal that you signed him to a year ago. You hope that he stays healthy. You continue to develop Devontae Walker. You perhaps fill that void and sign a veteran and bring DeAndre Hopkins back. It was 1 year for $5 million a season ago. Perhaps it's similar. And then you go draft one. You have LaJohntay Wester in-house. He's going to be jockeying to be the primary return specialist, I would think, as a day 3 pick last year. You saw some flashes from him in the preseason. He's got a ton of speed, great vision. And you let the chips fall as they may from there, while also retooling your tight end room, which clearly they're very much already doing. This visit could potentially materialize into a signing for David Njoku. You've gotten your Charlie Kolar replacement and a blocking tight end with the veteran and Durham Smythe. And you're probably going to draft at least one tight end as well. Clinton Ganaway writes, we got to remember this offense is going to look very different under Declan Doyle. I wish the best, but so much is unknown for what we need to be successful. But this premium being put on tight ends, I would think it's going to continue. You're going to see heavy 12 personnel. They will not. They will be phasing out. Sure seems like it based on Eric's comments. They will be phasing out the fullback position, which is why they didn't even engage with Pat Ricard on potential business. They have Lucas Scott, an undrafted rookie out of Army West Point that's on the 90-man. Can't imagine, based on Eric's comments from last week, that he'll be on the 53-man several months from now when that's coming up. King Lee, you're right. I am 30 minutes out from the collective. Clinton, thank you for, as always, dropping in a super chat and for your commentary. You're the man. If you haven't already done so, would love for you to join the Bobby Baltimore Discord server. I just updated the pinned comment to reflect the free access link that'll allow you to go hang out with over 1,200 like-minded people that love sports, a lot of whom are in the Baltimore area. And I'll go ahead and drop it into the live chat right now, just in case you can't see the pinned comment. There's literally chatter going on as we speak. I don't know what's being talked about. Maybe David Njoku. Looks like that's a conversation that's being had right now. But again, when you join, as I always show you, Sean has become member number 1,280. So I would love for you guys to join. There's Bobby After Dark. Welcome to Rip. Welcome to, they're all coming in now. Lupusy. Awesome to have you guys as part of the community. And there's so many different chat rooms that you can take part in. And I just threw golf into that equation this past weekend because I was inspired by the Players' Championship. You never know what's going on in Bobby After Dark. Maurice is lighting up, celebrating 420 early, and Laura is inviting me to a SIP social tomorrow night in Ybor City. And she's going to hate me for having to decline yet again but I'm flying back to Albany for a bachelor party weekend as the best man in my college roommate's wedding. And that's in April. But the party itself is in a cabin in Killington, Vermont this upcoming weekend, and I'm flying out tomorrow night. The Collective is coming up in 28 minutes, so I got to go. And I appreciate you guys for hanging with me as always. If you could do me the favor on the way out, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, hit that notification bell, consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership this offseason. You can connect with me across all social media platforms, including Twitter and or X, which is where a lot of this information that I cover on here first lands, and then I come on over to YouTube and give you more expanded thoughts. But follow me over there if you could, at Bobby Baltimore. The O in Baltimore is a 0, and same thing with Instagram while you're at it. You can click join to become a channel member today if you're interested in doing so. And if you want to donate to the program, Venmo and Cash App are great ways to do so outside of the Super Chat feature. As I always say, anything and everything is beyond appreciated. Nothing is ever expected. Jeff, Cole, and myself will join you tonight on The Collective. And just in case you haven't figured that out yet, where that clip is, we would love for you to subscribe over there as well. I'll show you what's going on just in case you aren't familiar yet. But here's tonight's show. And I will add this link into the live chat so you guys can go ahead and subscribe if you haven't. Here it is. This is tonight's show. I just dropped it in there. I'll go ahead and like my own video. 9 people are already waiting. We're coming up on 8,000 subscriptions. Growing quickly. Great to be with Jeff and Cole. Phenomenal teammates. And I look forward to catching up with you guys tonight. Hopefully you'll join us in just over 20 minutes from right now inside The Collective. Thanks to Preston Automotive Group. Thanks to FanDuel. And thanks to all of you for spending some time with me tonight. We'll catch up with you in just a bit. Later.